Hi guys, I know I haven't done a video in forever, and it's because of all this COVID stuff going on and quarantine, and I just haven't really, to be honest, felt comfortable being in front of the camera. But I figured I could stay off camera and have you guys just kind of focus on the food, and we can still do a video that way. I really wanted to do a video today because I went to the market yesterday and I got these amazing cuts of ribeye. I mean, look at how amazing this cut of meat is. So with this steak, I wanted to do something extraordinary. Usually I just throw my ribeyes in a cast iron, do it Texas style with like a dry seasoning and just kind of sear it in the cast iron for a few minutes. I wanted to sous vide this. So I got a sous vide for Christmas, I think 2 years ago, and I've used it twice. I've used it on a prime rib and I've used it on a turkey, and they came out amazing. And I should use it more often. But you'll see in a minute why I don't pull out that bad boy. But we're going to start with the steak, and we're going to start with seasoning it. So with sous vide, I wanted to just kind of submerge a lot of incredible, very subtle flavors into this. It's also going to be the ingredient list for a compound butter that I'm going to use to sear this in at the end. So it's going to be is garlic, which I smashed, just kind of spread out the width of the cloves so that they could spread out over the steak, and fresh rosemary. So I am fortunate enough to have rosemary in my garden. I have a black thumb and I am a terrible gardener, and I pretty much kill every plant that I touch. But funny enough, rosemary thrives. I don't know if it's just Texas or I'm just lucky, but I can't get rid of my rosemary, which I'm not complaining about, because then I have rosemary, endless supplies of it, for recipes like this. So rosemary, and then the other thing is green onion. Like the rosemary and green onion, they grow like crazy and like they never die. So I'm recommending to you guys as part of this video, if you're not a good gardener and you want to have an endless supply of certain herbs, go with rosemary and green onion. Okay, so these are patted down in here. So we're going to sprinkle it with, like I said, a little bit of salt and pepper. One of my favorite little toys is our Foodsaver, and that comes in really handy for sous vide. So a little vacuum sealed bag. It's sealed on one end and open on the other so that we can stick our meat in here. And these bags are really cool. It is the Foodsaver brand, and Foodsaver does offer different sizes for bags. Like you can custom size it, cut this like plastic however way you want. They come in like big old rolls. So I just wanted to be modest and conservative, and I made a little baggie that's just the size of the steak, as you can see. So now we're gonna bring it over to the vacuum sealer itself and get it shut. Okay, over to the Foodsaver. I love this machine so much, like love it. One of my favorite little contraptions in the kitchen. Like I don't have every little piece of equipment known to man, but I have a few like cool stuff, and the Foodsaver is really like up there as one of probably the top 3 the little things that I use like all the time. So I've had the Foodsaver for years. I've had to replace it like one time because one of the models went kaput, but it's because I've had it forever. So anyway, we have the meat in the vacuum seal bag. I'm gonna try to do this one-handed to show you, 1, how easy it is, and 2, because I don't have a cameraman or woman and I'm filming this by myself. So we're gonna just try to do it with grace. So it just needs to pick up both ends, deep enough there. There it goes. That easy, and you can do it one-handed. So it's going to suck all that air out of the bag, and it's just going to compress all of that into the meat. And then also, the steam from the sous vide is just going to like wrap its heat around the meat like a meat hug. And that's how I explain the process. Anyway, off to the sous vide maker. Okay, that was really noisy, so I'm just going to pause it for just a second. It has finished reheating and it's sitting pretty at the temperature that I want. It's actually going a little high. So I'm just going to drop it to maybe 129. Like I said, it does fluctuate a degree or two. But now that it's ready, I am going to submerge my vacuum sealed bag of meat and make sure that it is going to sit completely submerged in that water. And there it is. So we're going to turn this back on, and it's just going to do its thing. Patience is not one of my strongest virtues, but I like this type of contraption because you can literally set it and forget it and go do other things. So in the 3 hours that we have, I'm going to like go do laundry or clean the pool or something, and maybe shower and get ready and be camera ready for you guys for the next parts of the video. So we're gonna set it back on. See you in 3 hours. Okay, while the steak is in the sous vide bath, we've got just a little time where we can go ahead and make a compound butter. What a compound butter is just a softened butter that's whipped with whatever seasonings and spices that you would like. Now, the flavor profile that I chose and what I vacuum sealed into the steak was rosemary and garlic. So I went ahead and minced up both of those herbs, the fresh rosemary and some garlic cloves, and we're just going to add it to the softened butter. The butter has been sitting out a little bit, and as you can see, just using the soft little spatula, it bends very easily. So that'll make it very easy for us to kind of work in all these seasonings and herbs and spices into the butter. So go ahead and just do that. Dump it all in. I really don't have any measurements. I mean, it's all about how much flavor of each ingredient that you would like. This is unsalted butter, so I'm going to add salt to the butter, eyeballing it literally, and then just for a little peppery finish, as well as just those nice little chunks of pepper to make it just visually appealing, I'm going to add that ground black pepper into there. And I'm just going to mix and mix. This is not a lot of butter. I mean, it is just one stick, and that's because I'm cooking for one today. My boyfriend is offshore. There's no one else in the house but me and my dog. He can't eat garlic, so this is gonna be steak for one hungry girl, and I'm probably not going to use all this butter because I don't wanna have a heart attack, but it'll be just enough where I can cut a slice or two once the butter has set in the fridge or a freezer. We have enough time where it can sit in the fridge up to an hour, but if you are low on time, you can go ahead and flash freeze it for about 15 minutes. It'll get you the same texture and consistency that you want. So butter is all mixed up. Now what you're gonna wanna do is just roll this into a piece of parchment or plastic wrap. So I have some plastic wrap here, just enough to make a little butter log out of it. Be conservative. And I apologize for the beeping, that is the sous vide. It was really, really noisy, so I shut it off for just a moment to make this butter, and then I'm gonna kick it back on once we're done filming this little snippet. And you're gonna just kind of wanna roll it like you would, I don't know, an egg roll, I guess. So you get kind of like a 1 to 2 inch thickness on it. Okay, sorry about that little technical malfunction. My phone just died. I am filming this from my phone, and I have not been charging it at night. So as I was saying, you'll want to take a piece of plastic wrap or parchment paper. I have some plastic wrap here, and I rolled it up into a little 1 to 2 inch little rog, very gently, just kind of pressing it in and rolling. And now I'm going to spin the ends, twist them, and just kind of tuck them around. And we're gonna put this little guy in the fridge for an hour. Again, if you're low on time, you can do it in the freezer for 15 minutes. It'll give you just the right consistency where you can slice little snippets off and use it for your recipe. So we're gonna pop it into the fridge, and we'll be back for the grand finale when we sear the steak. Okay, part of the grand reveal process. We're almost finished. And the grand reveal is not the fact that I actually showered and got out of my PJs, because that's quarantine life for me, but that the sous vide has finished. So we're gonna take the meat, the package out of the water bath. It's been in there for about 3 hours, as I said. And I'm gonna use tongs for safety, just because it is still sitting at about 130 degrees Fahrenheit, which is a little higher than comfortable temperature. So we're just going to take this bag out. And as you can see, the color has changed. So ideally, from what I understand, is the color of the meat on the outside is gonna be about what you would expect cutting into it. And like I said, I prefer my steaks, especially ribeye cut, about medium rare. Some of you guys like it a little bit more done, a little bit less done, but do what you like. I know I'm throwing some shade out there. There's really no temperature to the perfect steak except for the temperature that's perfect to you. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut into this bag, take the steak out. While I'm doing that, I'm going to heat up my cast iron pan. I'm gonna have it at about medium-high heat. I'm gonna give it about 2 minutes to get really hot so I get that nice sear. Again, this is a sous vide with a reverse sear. So now that the meat is cooked to the temperature on the inside that we'd like, all we have to do is finish up the outside. And I'm gonna do that after this heats up, and we're gonna go back to our compound butter that's been in the fridge. We're gonna cut into it and have that ready as well. Okay, the cast iron is heating up. We're gonna give it about a minute or two. I'm gonna adjust the lighting there so you can see that the butter has been taken out of the fridge. We let it set, and it's going to be just the right little temperature where I can cut into it, where it has a little bit of give, but it slices beautifully. And I think I'm just gonna be conservative. I'm gonna have 3 slices ready, probably more like 2 slices that I'm gonna be using. But you can see that the herbs and everything has mixed into there, has infused the butter with some flavoring, and that's that. We have our slices ready. Once the pan is nice and hot, then we can go ahead and put one of these slices of this bad boy in there, and then top it all off with the same thing at the end. So back to the cast iron we go. Okay, this is the easiest part of all. This is the searing process. And because most of the cooking has already been done in the sous vide process, all we have to do is literally sear the meat on both sides for 1 minute. So what I did was I went ahead and took the meat out of the vacuum sealed bag. I went ahead and took off some of the herb just so that it wouldn't be overwhelmed when it hits the pan, so that the meat itself, the surface, gets a nice even sear. And I'm also going to pat dry some of the excess moisture so that the heat transfers evenly. And I'm just gonna go ahead and drop in 1 little stick of our herb butter, compound butter, just to get that flavor on the base of the pan. And you can see the pan is nice and hot. I might have to turn it down just a little bit, but about medium high. Medium high is good. And once that butter is melted down, immediately I'm going to throw the steak in there, and we're gonna count down 1 minute. So I'm not gonna touch it for a minute, just do a little dance. And I'm going to add another little slice of butter just to get around the steak so that the outside, the little perimeter there, gets some of that butter, and so that I continue to add some fat in the pan so that the butter that's existing doesn't brown too quickly and burn. And then right before I flip it over, gonna do another thing of butter so that the other side gets layered and cooked with that butter and wonderful flavor as well. I'm also going to make sure that I get the outside of the steak as well. So I'm just gonna stand here and hold it because it's such a humongous thick cut of meat that I wanna make sure that the sear goes around the edges as well. I opted for a cast iron instead of grilling outside, but you could do either or. The cast iron is just one of my go-tos. Other than the Foodsaver, it's also one of my top 3 appliances, little equipment things that I use in the kitchen. Plus, it's really humid outside in Houston, Texas. Today we had some rain come in, and I'm severely allergic to mosquitoes. And between the heat, the humidity, and the mosquitoes, it was just more comfortable for me to cook inside on the cast iron. So now we flip it over. Okay, so I cheated off camera, and I didn't want you to catch all my awkwardness, but I got another little stick of butter. So much for modesty, right? And I'm going to just kind of slather that butter on top of the hot steak just to finish it off. And it is all done, you guys. I'm going to put it on this little cutting board to rest. And you can see that amazing sear. I'm just going to let the butter while the steak rests. And this is no different in the cooking process. Otherwise, you want to make sure that the meat rests and that the fat just kind of redistributes itself around and makes the most ideal cut of meat imaginable. So we're going to let this rest for about 5 minutes, I think, covered with some foil, and we'll check back on it before we cut into it and devour this amazing monstrosity. Still resting, but it looks so good. I literally just took it out of the pan and I want to eat all of this right now. I have to let it rest. I have to let it rest. Gotta let it rest. Okay, you guys, the grand finale. The steak has been sitting here and you can see all those wonderful juices and butter just rolled off. So we're gonna cut into it now and see how we did on the inside, what the inside looks like. Yes, that's what I'm talking about. Look at that nice pink. That's how I like it. I like it that wonderful perfection of medium consistency. I just want you guys to like take a look at how wonderful that is. And it's like literally overflowing. Like these juices are no joke, you guys. I can't wait to finish slicing this up and consuming this whole thing. So I'm gonna go ahead and plate this and enjoy my 3 hours of patience and amazingness. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video.